Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for pro wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. Last night's Raw was full of surprises, with Mustafa Ali winning the Battle Royale to become the new number one contender for Gunther's Intercontinental Championship, Ronda Rousey returned, and the tag team champions got pinned in a tag team match 2 weeks before they're defending their tag team championships in what could well be a main event of a pay-per-view. But joining me to discuss all of this and more, firstly, the co-host of the podcast, Clark Taylor. How are you today, Clark?
I'm doing well, my friend. Happy to be back after my day off yesterday. I hit the tailor for this wedding. I still do look like a tan Michelin man in the suit that my friend picked. But at the end of the day, it will fit, and that's key. And we got that figured out yesterday. I'm happy to be back on the broadcast. I missed a bunch yesterday, but not much because I did get to watch a lot of the episode. Really excited, though, to get into Raw in this Battle Royal.
Yeah.
But we also have a new guest, right?
We absolutely do. We have a new guest on the show, and that is Drizzy. Welcome to the daily broadcast, Drizzy.
I am happy to be here. It is my honor to be working with you two gentlemen. And it's just, yeah. So I'm not going to lie, guys. I've been nervous. I've been incredibly nervous about all this. I'm so used to working by myself all the time. So having people to bounce off of.
Oh, it's going to be a great show. Don't even worry about it. We're all going to kill it, and we have a lot to talk about. And let's, first of all, talk about the Battle Royale from last night. They did, of course. Gunther appeared on Raw for the first time. Well, they were saying first time. He did appear on it last year. But he came to Raw the first time on the Raw roster, and they did a Battle Royale to find his first challenger on the Red brand. And this Battle Royale was certainly something. The match itself was actually really fun. It was, but there was four of the NXT call-ups were in the match. There was JD McDonough, Apollo Crews, Von Wagner, and Zion Quinn. Von Wagner got called up during this draft, and he was a free agent, right? And he, in this match, he got eliminated during a commercial break. They didn't really explain much about him. They mentioned him, but they didn't really explain much about him. Zion Quinn, they didn't really explain anything about him. He at least wasn't eliminated during a commercial break. Apollo Crews had a decent showing, but still not really anything. Later on in the night, they did a brilliant promo package for Apollo, but I'm not sure what the point of him being in this Battle Royale was. I think they should have just kept out in the video packages and then returned him when they had a storyline for him, instead of just chucking him in this Battle Royale to be chucked out of the Battle Royale. And then there's JD McDonough, who at least had a storyline set up from it, right? Dolph Ziggler eliminated him quite quickly. He did get an elimination before getting eliminated, but still it was quite quick. He then later on in the night also had a video package about him, which was, again, phenomenal. And then Kathy Kelly interviewed him, and he had a great promo about saying that, he's on Raw and he wants to make a name for himself, so he took out Dolph Ziggler. Well, if that was the case, why was he in the Battle Royale? Why didn't he just come from the crowd or something and then take out Dolph once he was eliminated? I don't really know why. I don't think being in this Battle Royale did any of these four guys any good. But the JD McDonough segments throughout the night were very good. And something was quite notable about them was that Finn Balor was watching JD McDonough while Kathy Kelly was interviewing him. And I actually missed it on first watch. I had to check Twitter later on, and I saw it. And I was like, wow, those are the little details which Triple H has been putting into this booking since he's arrived that are really, really solid. And it was great. In the end, Mustafa Ali won the Battle Royale, and he's going to be facing Gunther, which I'm super happy about, as I'm a big fan of his. But, I mean, I'm going to be completely honest. They've kind of been treating him like a jobber recently, so I'm not really sure how believable it is in all. If I'm being completely honest about it. So it's kind of an obvious one where Gunther's going to win this, but I think it's going to be a fun match. But I guess the question is, to casual fans, why would they care? Ali's been booked as a jobber. and now suddenly he's getting an Intercontinental title shot. Now maybe they can make him look serious again, and they can build on it from here. Who knows? It's too early to judge. But overall, I found this entire booking surrounding this Battle Royale a little bit weird. But what did you think about it, Clark?
So for me, you made so many great points there. And as a Chicago guy, I root hard for Ali. I really do. But this positivity thing, like, he's been booked as a jobber. It's a little bit like Sonya Deville. She's a legit butt kicker, you know? And at the end of the day, not booked as such. And Ali hasn't. So it's one of those on paper, Ali Gunther's outstanding. They got to tell us the story here and get me invested in Ali can beat him. Get me to believe that, and then we're good. But outside of that, I don't know who this Battle Royale benefited. Because what you said about McDonough, they accomplished that in the segment.
Yeah.
Being eliminated by Ziggler, what's that do? And with Finn Balor watching, what's the point? Really? Unless he's joining Judgment Day, which, please, I'm begging you, do not make JD McDonough join Judgment Day. I'm begging you. Please don't tell me that's the reason. It better be Finn Balor's. But why would he be jealous of McDonough for any reason?
Finn Balor trained JD McDonough.
He trained him. But watching him, I just keep him out of the Judgment Day. Let's have a rivalry between those two. But I don't mind those two being in the IC title picture. Maybe tell that story of him training him. Try to convince him to join the Judgment Day, and you get a triple threat. Anything. But now we have kind of a spoon-fed Ali rivalry. Please tell us the story. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, a couple of weeks ago on the website, I posted an article about how WWE should book JD McDonough, and it's also on the YouTube channel if you want to check that out after this podcast. But I basically said about it. They should they should first of all do some video packages hyping up and explaining JD McDonough. Then they should debut him, have him win a few matches against some, mid-carders, and then have Finn Balor try and convince him to join the Judgment Day. But then for him to reject it, and then in the end for JD McDonough to win the feud, resulting in Finn Balor getting kicked out of the Judgment Day. Because like we talked about on yesterday's show, actually, Finn Balor is the only one who's kind of, the Judgment Day hasn't helped at all. So I don't even think there's really a reason for him to be in the group anymore. So I think you could just get rid of him. Please do not have JD McDonough join the Judgment Day. Although, I mean, who knows? Maybe it could benefit him. But what about you, Drizzy? What do you think?
JD McDonough is definitely joining Judgment Day. The writing is on the walls, even with Finn standing in the corner like Batman watching down over Robin. That's exactly what it looked like. So he's going to be approaching him in the next coming weeks. But I do agree with you guys about the Battle Royale. It didn't really do anything for anybody of sorts of any of the NXT call-ups anyway. I miss Zion Quinn's elimination. That's how bad that went. I seen Von get his one. I think he got an elimination, or at least he had they had a spotlight for him at least. And everything that could have been done with JD and Apollo, they did video packages for later on in the night. So it kind of was, why are we here? Yeah. I understand they needed bodies, but they could have done this, made this a little bit more compelling. They could have told a whole bunch more stories within this whole thing. I don't think they actually know what to do with Von Wagner or Zion Quinn.
Yeah.
Because Zion Quinn has been off NXT television for even longer. At least Von's on week to week. And I really feel like they just brought him up there like, okay, maybe we'll figure something out, because there are some people that don't fit in the NXT system. People like Elias. He didn't fit in the NXT system, but once he made it to the main roster, sky was the limit for a little bit. So maybe they're trying to see if that's another one of those situations with Von Wagner. As far as JD McDonough and Dolph Ziggler go, it didn't have to happen in the Battle Royale, but I think they just wanted to give it something. I guess maybe they thought they didn't have enough time. I'm not 100% sure, but it could have been done in a one-on-one match or something else. Just, it didn't have to be that Battle Royale, because a lot of people will miss it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It was a weird one. And I mean, like you touched upon, Zion Quinn, he hasn't really done anything to be brutally honest, since joining WWE. It's kind of, they repackaged him a couple of times now. And the Zion Quinn gimmick, at first, he was being mocked well with it in NXT, but I don't know. I've liked everything I've seen from him, but I mean, Teresa, I think you watch NXT a bit more than I do. What's been your thoughts on Zion Quinn, or what you've seen of him on NXT television?
Honestly, he hasn't been on TV for a while, so it's kind of hard to even have that opinion. Like Von, at least week to week, Von Wagner has something. Even people that aren't doing anything. Wendy Chu, you see her, and I think she's been hurt or something. I'm not 100% sure, but she has something, and she hasn't been in. I can't tell you the last time I've seen her in the ring. But Zion Quinn, it's like he just kind of I want to say he had something with Elektra Lopez maybe at the beginning of last year, and then
that's right,
nothing since. So it's kind of hard to have an opinion on it.
It is a weird scenario too, and then even the Von Wagner stuff, like Von, and I loved the point you made about superstars that have gone to the main roster and had success that weren't necessarily fit for the NXT system. I don't know if we can even tell the difference on Von, because I don't know what he's fit for. Like, to be totally honest, like I don't, at least like, it's like Matt Riddle, I would argue, like was never really fit for NXT, and he did a great job there. But main roster made way more sense, given the charisma, the character, and all of that, right? Along the way, like he never was threatening for the NXT title, or even the, even the North American title, right? Like he wasn't at that level on the card, but he, as soon as he was called up, then suddenly, he's high on the card, and there's a click. And it's funny, I do not see the same with Von Wagner. Zion Quinn is baffling to me, but less than the Von one. I do not get. Von seems very overexposed and not ready.
Yeah.
And I just don't get that. To eliminate him during a commercial break, like you previously stated, Ben. I mean, that is, if that's not a statement, I don't know what is.
I mean, the thing with him is as well, the NXT system when Elias was down there was it's very different to how it is now. In terms of now, it's a bit more like the main roster. It's kind of the more like the main roster, but a bit edgier. That's what the current system is like down there. So, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like they haven't given him a character. He doesn't have much of a character at all. They tried stuff with Robert Stone, I know, but then they got rid of him. Yeah. It's just
But you know what's fun? But you know what's funny now?
What?
Ever since they actually gave him the call up, they've done more character stuff with him, which makes no sense whatsoever.
Makes none. Yeah, it's like too little, too late, right? Like it's like, wait a minute, like
oh god,
like it almost feels like they had like, well, we got all this Von Wagner stuff. He's gonna be leaving in a few weeks, so let's just run that real quick before he can get it out of here.
Yeah, like they're just trying to unload the extra work, almost, right? Yeah, like they showed us the deleted scenes.
Yeah,
on a DVD, essentially, right? Of Von on the way out, like.
Oh, I mean, it makes no sense. It doesn't. I'd like to say at least, think with Triple H with the Buck now that, he would talk to Shawn about what the plans are and they could build from there. It's annoying. It feels like the team still aren't communicating well between NXT and the main roster. But we've got Shadi in the comments here saying what's good. And he's also saying that to him, Zion Quinn is just a guy. And I mean, unfortunately, it does look like that and it does feel like that. It's unfortunate because he does have the look of a good, top guy. And so does Von Wagner, actually. But there needs to be a character and there needs to be a good character. And there needs to be a character established. And that's even more important on the main roster. And this is one thing which a lot of people don't understand. And I think why Vince tried to change some characters, even though he didn't need to change them, he just needed to reintroduce them. But when the people are on, you need to explain to the casual fans, the casual audience, what that character is and make them care about that character. Because a lot of them don't watch NXT. But, I mean, Wagner and Zion Quinn don't really have much of a character. So, who knows? But hopefully, there's a long-term plan. Maybe we're thinking too short-term. They have a plan. But it really doesn't feel like they do. But now let's talk about something which they have had a plan for the last couple of weeks, and that is Shinsuke Nakamura and The Miz. Of course, the last few weeks, Miz has been adamant to Shinsuke Nakamura that you need to be in a tag team or a stable or a group, whatever, on Raw because you can't be alone. And Nakamura kind of just laughed it off. And eventually last week challenged The Miz to a match this week. And honestly, it was actually a really fun match. And that shouldn't surprise me too much, but it was a fun TV match. At one point, I actually thought The Miz was going to get the win after that skull-crushing finale, but Shinsuke got to the ropes. And in the end, Shinsuke did get that victory. I mean, the big question coming out of it is what's next for Shinsuke. We've seen him now beat Karrion Kross and beat The Miz in two very, very short feuds, but hopefully they're building him up for a bigger program. On the show yesterday, me and Kobe discussed Shinsuke Nakamura and perhaps if he could be added to the main event again. And what we basically kind of agreed on is that maybe not quite the top of the main event like he was looking like when he won the Royal Rumble before, but he could be, a top mid-card guy. I actually can't even remember if he had a match with Gunther on SmackDown. I think he might have, but perhaps you could run that back or run it if they haven't done it before. I can't even remember now. But Clark, what did you think of this match?
Sorry, back up 1 second. The Indus match. Are you talking?
No.
Oh, Nakamura Miz. Oh, Nakamura Miz. Miz is my guy. I'm so sorry. I got distracted for a second there, guys. That one's on me. But Nakamura Miz, I did enjoy. I mean, we talked about this the other day. Shinsuke Nakamura has been on like a roll-ish. And then it's like, it's starting to feel stop-start. And of course he won. We didn't get our big moment with The Miz that I joked about. But
no, God, we didn't.
I know, but it would have been funny. And I mean, that's kind of what I thought of it. Shinsuke's so great, but tell me a story. Show me something. You know what I mean? Make it matter. Make the matches matter because he does it bell to bell as good as anybody in the whole world. Both Nakamura and Miz. Miz gets overlooked bell to bell.
Yeah,
he does. He's built himself from the beginning. And tell us a story. Give me a reason. And this felt a lot like no reason other than just nudge Shinsuke along on this, whatever we're telling. I mean, Shinsuke might have made more sense for another Intercontinental title shot with Gunther. Tell that story and make it believable.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that could be a feud that they could build towards. Or I mean, if not, whoever the world champion could be.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it'd either be Nakamura Styles face versus face. Sorry, Nakamura Rollins face versus face. Or Nakamura Styles also face versus face. So maybe not, but I mean, it's an interesting one. Clark, I asked Kobe this yesterday, but do you think that Nakamura could be rebuilt into a top star on Raw, or do you think it's likely upper mid card is where it probably will stop for him now?
I wish I had a cooler answer than this, but the answer is I wish that was possible. I think it's too late.
Yeah,
it's too late, and so I unfortunately have to say no. I think there's been too much damage done within the WWE audience to possibly salvage. We at one point, Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles was the dream match. If I said we've got Shin and AJ next week, we don't bat an eye. That's not the story we're telling. That's not what we're talking about. It's like, oh, again?
Yeah.
And that's not either of their faults necessarily as performers.
No, but the booking was just dreadful.
It's an unfortunate position we're in. Shinsuke is that talented, but I think he will always be that classic Intercontinental title picture mid-card veteran that plug and play. You can put him in multiple spots, but they've already kind of they've burnt that wick, right? They've burnt that candle. It's too late.
No, absolutely. I mean, he's 43 now as well. He's getting on. But let's talk about some of the newer stars. once again. And let's talk about somebody who returned to the main roster. Jinder Mahal, but he returned with a couple of new stars in Indus Sher. We've seen before. But yeah, Indus Sher are now on the main roster. They came out yesterday and they've really actually looked and felt like stars. They did. It actually surprised me. I thought out of anybody who's going to be called up and not really taken seriously, it'd be these guys. They came, they squashed some jobbers. They looked decent in the squash match and they felt important. After Jinder Mahal grabbed the headset, said a few things in the headset before then taking the mic and said, Indus Sher are here. And I think these guys could be big in the tag team title picture in not long. I honestly did not see these guys. I didn't think that these guys would become major players on Raw. But after this segment, I think they might. What did you think, Drizzy?
They've been trying to get Indus Sher going for a while now. They've tried it with them separately. They've tried it with them together. I'm finally happy. I'm just happy that Veer finally found his way to Raw because he's been trying to get the Raw for I don't know how long now. Veer has been coming for years now, and he finally made it. They got in the ring and they looked like a dominant tag team. It's almost reminiscent of Authors of Pain when they came through.
Yeah.
They looked great. They looked like $1 million. Jinder Mahal with them as their mouthpiece, absolutely great. I love that combination of them. I'm hoping that Jinder is just going to be their mouthpiece for good and not try to be an in-ring wrestler anymore. I know he's been around for a while, former world champion, but it's time to push Indus Sher to help save the Raw tag team scene. I don't know if we want to call it the Raw. If we want to separate the Raw and the SmackDown tag team scenes because the titles are together, and I don't know if we're going to be separating those anytime soon. But definitely with the additions of Indus Sher, the Viking Raiders, Alpha Academy, they have a healthy tag team division now.
Yeah, they do.
And I see Indus Sher being the faces of that if they ever can get those titles away from each other. I can't say off of Kevin and Sammy because if those go anywhere, it's just they need to be separated. Like that's the biggest thing right there. They need to be separated because you can't have this healthy tag team division and then they're just there for random matches.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I 110% agree with you. There needs to be tag team titles in both brands. I mean, as for Jinder Mahal, I mean, something which is crazy, which I just looked up and checked. He's only 36.
Really?
I mean, he feels a lot. Yeah, I cannot believe that he's only 36.
That blows
years
me
old.
away too. By the way, I was about to say the same thing. I'm like, what?
So he actually,
how old is Veer, by the way? Because he pitched for the Pittsburgh. I mean, Veer is the basis of $1 Million Arm, which is fun movie, but an incredible story, right?
So Veer's just under 2 years younger
than
Jinder Mahal, but
mind-numbing. That's mind-numbing.
So when Jinder and Seth fought years ago, he had to be like 21, 22.
Yeah, he was a kid.
Well, so Jinder's 1 year younger than Seth. So I mean, yeah, so he was the younger of the two. But I mean, I've always kind of just felt, to be honest with you, I feel like Jinder's got too much hate. That's a hot take, and maybe it's a hot take for another day. But
I actually agree. Other than that, I think his moveset is the issue.
Yeah.
It's a lot of chokes. The finisher's great.
Yeah.
Cobra clutch, slam, coloss, right? But I mean, it's a lot of chokes, clothesline, choke, clothesline. Hit the ropes.
It's very slow. It's very slow. It's very boring.
If we're trying to be overly polite, methodical. It's methodical to say the least.
That's way too polite.
I know. Right?
Here's the thing about him, though. I don't know how much of that can be blamed on him and how much of that is also his booking and what he gets told to do. Because a friend of mine used to train with him in the gym, and he said that basically he's never seen such a hard worker in the gym and how his passion for wrestling is unreal. He works literally all day, every day because he's so focused. He's so passionate about wrestling. Right? He's not in the gym just because he loves the gym. He's in the gym because of wrestling and he wants to improve for that. He's somebody who really, truthfully does care about the business. So, yeah, I feel like if they gave him the right storyline, I think he 110% has a role to play on that Raw roster if they can book him well. Because, I mean, you talk about plug and play. I think that could be Jinder Mahal. I think he's somebody who, could help elevate some of the younger talent in good, meaningful storylines because he's a good promo. You could have put him in a storyline with Von Wagner, Zion Quinn, maybe, and made it, I don't know, made sense. But of course, his focus right now is getting into Sheer over, which it was great last night, and I'm really interested to see where it goes. But now let's talk. Clark, what do you want to talk about? Cody Rhodes came out.
Want to talk about?
Cody Rhodes came out for his weekly promo, which we know Clark hates. Asked everyone, what do you want to talk about? And then went on some talk about scorpions, and then compared Lesnar to a scorpion, but then compared him to other animals. It was actually, as always, great Cody Rhodes promo, delivered really well, but it was kind of, you walked away and you were like, wait a second, I don't care more about the match from this, and I didn't really learn anything from it. He just spoke well. That was about it. What did you think, Clark?
Brock Lesnar asked him for a fight. Not a wrestling match, not anything else. And we're over here with, what do you want to talk about? And then his feelings. And it's so great. Like, oh, Cody. Oh, man. It makes my skin crawl. If you're going to fight Brock Lesnar, you better be in the mood to fight Brock Lesnar. Because now we saw, like, whatever. Yeah, you got the roll up in the Kimura. If that's on that torn pec arm, that pec's torn again. You thought the bruise the first time was big? Brock Lesnar gets a hold of that arm with the Kimura. Wait till you see the bruise. Wait till you see the black and blue along that arm. If he tears that one more time, surgically repaired. He asked for a fight. This didn't seem like a fight. This was a guy that wears a suit and talks about his feelings. And that's what we get every time. Well, what are we going to talk about? And it's great. And the crowd goes wild for him because Cody's on fire right this second. Off the return somehow. I outside of that, I don't get it. In what world would I possibly believe that Cody Rhodes has a semblance of a chance in a fight with Brock Lesnar that he didn't even address in this promo? Brock's standing over him. He didn't even talk about the fact that he was challenged to a fight. And I'm supposed to believe that he's not just going to get absolutely tossed from limb from limb, torn apart. Brock's going home with a limb, I hope. That's how they book it. I hope we're all taught a lesson here and they book it that Brock Lesnar goes home with a limb, an arm or a leg or an ankle or whatever it is. He takes it home and puts it on his mount right above his fireplace. This is Cody's shoulder. Like, yeah. What do you want to talk about? Not this.
The shoulder is going to be on the mount right next to John Cena's 16 suplexes, Randy Orton's head skull. Just had a whole mandal full of body parts for people he's beaten.
Yeah, we got the bleach head kid talking about his feelings, and we're supposed to believe he can beat up Brock Lesnar? Yeah, right.
I have a message for Cody Rhodes right here, right? Cody, please never stop asking us what we want to talk about, because I am just loving these Clark rants every week.
I can't stand
They're
it.
making my week.
It's hilarious.
Can't help myself.
It's hilarious.
I can't stand it.
Like, he does it specifically. He looks at the camera like, so what do you want to talk about?
Oh, it bugs me to death.
Like, he does it specifically for you.
He's gonna go, Clark, what do you want to talk about someday? And I'm like, dang it. Cody.
It's absolutely hilarious.
If he was on Cameo, I genuinely get Clark a cameo for his birthday with him just going, so Clark, happy birthday. What do you want to talk about?
By the way, if you pull that off, I'll laugh my face off. That would be all time.
That would be the intro to the podcast for the rest of the time. Oh gosh! But now let's talk about something that we probably want to talk about, or maybe we don't want to talk about. Who knows? But let's talk about what was meant to be the Women's Tag Team Championship match last night with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. They were meant to defend their titles against Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. However, Liv Morgan was injured last Friday on SmackDown. So instead of doing a tag team title match, Raquel faced Chelsea Green and defeated Chelsea Green. Apparently, the Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green title shot, that's going to have a later date once Liv Morgan's back. But then as Raquel was walking back up, Ronda Rousey returned and took out Raquel. And then soon after that, Shayna appeared too. And yeah, it looks like Ronda and Shayna are once again going after those women's tag team championships that they were seemingly meant to go for at WrestleMania before Ronda got hurt. But yeah, I mean, I think it's still too early to take the titles off Raquel and Liv. I've said it before, say it again, I'll keep saying it. I think Raquel and Liv could be the Batista Rey Mysterio storyline we saw, the classic big and little guy storyline. And then when Raquel turns on Liv and makes a brutal heel turn, eventually it'll look awesome. But Drizzy, what did you think of this segment?
I don't know what it. Can we please get Ronda Rousey some type of mouthpiece? Because I was instantly like, when she came out of the attack, I was like, okay, yay, I'm happy here. We can do this. Then she got on the mic and I was like, yeah, we got to stop. I'm not a fan of her on the mic. It's not there for me. It just doesn't hit me there. It could hit for other people completely different, but for me, it just doesn't work. Even Shayna doesn't talk that often, and her actions are loud enough that you don't really need to talk a lot. They can just go out there, break some arms, walk back, and put them on their mantle too. But it doesn't need to happen. Let's just go ahead and let them attack people and just let it go from there. Which tonight also was last night was a big glaring issue with the women's tag division. There isn't really one. There's 3 tag teams that we've seen so far. And it's kind of hard for them to do like these little matches where the number one contenders and the champions aren't facing each other because there's nobody really left. I really don't want that Liv Raquel Batista Rey storyline, because there seems to be a trend with people turning on Liv.
That's true.
It gets repetitive after a while. So it's like, come on, we can do something else, y'all? Can we like get some more tag teams? We have an overabundance of women. You guys just called up 2 women's tag teams on separate shows, but they're up there. Let's try and get these worked in. Last night would have been a great time to get the Covenant in and let them go. They're called the Covenant, right?
I believe so currently. Yeah, that's what they were on NXT. I don't know if they're going with the exact same name, but like I'm like 95% sure.
I just want to make sure, because I know there's like another tag team in Impact Wrestling that's kind of the same, so I don't want to say that they're over there. But it's like that would have been a good chance to get them in there. I understand Liv was hurt, and you're trying to run with what you got at that moment in time, but they have to address not having a women's tag division and having these champions. Like, they're gonna have to start putting some more women tag teams together. I mean, I know they got like main event. Let's start doing some stuff with that. As far as the Raquel and Chelsea, a solid match. I'm actually a big fan of Chelsea Green in the ring, and she plays her role. The Karens, it works. It's great.
Yeah. No, it is. She's pulling her performance to it is absolutely tremendous. But I mean, usually I'd agree with you full on, because this entire women's tag team division has kind of just been, every time somebody loses the titles, they turn on each other. That is true. But it's like, this one time, I wouldn't mind it if, I want them to be champions for a lot longer than this before it would happen. But yeah, for Raquel to turn on Liv, purely because they don't really have, a big monster heel in the women's division. And I believe that Raquel's perfect for that. She has the look to be a perfect, monster heel. And I honestly just think her just brutally attacking Liv, that would just make for great television, and the reaction, the crowd would hate her for it. And I mean, actually, to be fair, that's probably why It's probably because of Liv's size and the fact that the crowd like her so much. Why they keep having everyone turn on her? But I do agree, too many people have turned on her.
And I
But
thought
I'd
you
make
made a
that
great
exception
shout though
for her as
about
well.
the flip flop on Liv too. I've never understood that because I feel like she's so likable. And even further to your point, Ben, right? Like Drizzy, you brought it up. Liv's so likable. It doesn't. I can't add that up. That one's too much math.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. And we know, Clark, we don't like you doing math. We don't like
No.
you doing math at all.
Giving it up
But
years ago.
Before we get into math, we're not going to, Clark, don't worry. Let's talk about the main event. And the main event was the tag team champions, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, taking on Finn Balor and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day in a non-title match. And this was a really, really fun match. And we talked that before Mania about the bloodline being attacked from all angles. Well, Karma's come back, and it's now Owens and Zayn are being attacked by all angles. They had the Judgment Day up from one angle, they had Imperium from another angle, and then Heyman from another angle. So yeah, they were basically screwed. But the Judgment Day actually got the win. And on one hand, I'm thinking you're saying, well, I'm sitting there thinking, this is great. The Judgment Day and Finn Balor and Damian Priest, they got a huge win in the main event. Brilliant. That's what I wanted to see. On the other hand, it's 2 weeks before Owens and Zayn are facing Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa for the Unified Tag Team Championships, and you had them lose. And you could say, oh, you could run it back next week. Well, they can't run it back next week because they're doing the match against Imperium next week, the 6-man tag team match or a mystery partner. So that's confusing to me now. Going into the pay-per-view, I don't feel like they're going to have Roman and Solo lose to a team who've just lost, which is why I'm getting slightly scared they're going to give the tag team championships to Roman, which I don't know. Logically, it would make no sense, which is why I still don't think they will. But it was weird. It was really weird to have them lose 2 weeks before the pay-per-view, and they're not going to have a rematch before then. So it'll be after that. I mean, you could do a long feud after that. They're not following it, and that would be good. But it would just surprise me for WWE to have a tag team beat Roman, who just lost to a tag team who've lost a lot of matches in the Judgment Day. But Drizzy, what did you think about this match? And well, the Judgment Day getting the win.
I loved it. I am pro Judgment Day. I love Judgment Day to death. If I could be in here in all purple, if I could paint my house in purple, I would. The way that it looks with, you have Imperium on the outside. You have Roman and Solo looking for you weeks coming soon. It's us, and I said it earlier, the tag team division looks very strong and very good. This was a tag team Raw, actually. A great match. Damian Priest, next level. Finn Balor always delivers. Kevin and Sami, they don't have bad matches. This all worked together. It was all seamless. It was all just cohesively flowing together. And then adding Imperium into it afterwards, it was beautiful. I loved it. I was in heaven at the moment. And then the perfect cliffhanger of watching, like, okay, so we're surrounded on all sides, not to mention the teams that are in the back just waiting to come and get us, and the teams on SmackDown waiting to get us. Like, Kevin and Sami are in trouble.
Oh, they really are. And like you said, that visual is great. And I mean, like I said, they did the same with the Judgment Day, the Bloodline before WrestleMania. But when it's a face tag team, you feel a lot more sorry for them. So it is the fact that this segment had it was great. I really like it, and they're telling good stories in the tag team division like we wanted to see for a while. But Clark, I know you're not a fan of the Judgment Day, so what did you think about this?
I hate to do this to both of you, especially Drizzy. I hear where you're coming from, but are Finn Balor and Damian Priest a tag team, or are they two single stars that we're just wasting in the main event on a throwaway? I mean, really? What does this lead to? Nothing. They're not going to get a title shot. And I think if you beat the champs, they should hand over the belts. That's ridiculous. In the real world, you beat the champs, and it's like, oh, no, you got to do it twice. Really? Really? No. They beat the champs. I've always hated that, detested that. It's like the stupid title contender match. It's like, You're kidding me. You have to beat them twice to win the belt. They didn't have to win twice to win the belt themselves. And now I'm doing math again. Look what you guys have done. Look what you guys have done. Now I'm doing math again. Yeah. I mean, Judgment Day for me has always been a bit of a flop. I love the performers individually. Damian Priest off the charts, should be pushed. And with the South of Heaven chokeslam, coolest chokeslam I've seen in a long time. It looks like a side effect from Matt Hardy if he had hips. It's amazing. It every single time it lands with great accuracy. And this is a guy who had to ditch his own finisher because we brought over Cody last year. And of course, he's no longer allowed to use the Reckoning. Either way, at the end of the day, Finn Balor and Damian Priest have no business as a tag team. They're not in the tag team division. They're not a tag team. Finn Balor's a world title contender, and Damian Priest is as well. And they both should be booked as such. And to beat now your tag champs who we put over in a main event match at WrestleMania, what are we doing here? Come on.
But technically, isn't Sammy and Kevin two singles guys together who went over? So
absolutely. I'm with you there. Other than that, given their history, we know about their friendship, and that was an easy story that was told. To your point, Sami Zayn was the only one that felt like a legitimate threat to Roman Reigns in the last year. I would argue that was the move at Mania. My feelings on Cody, but you give me Sammy and Roman night 2, different conversation. And I would argue that Sami Zayn is so valuable in his own right, and then Kevin Owens, the talent that he has, their history, Ring of Honor, given the timing. I mean, post Jay Briscoe, given their history and all of that, there was nobody hotter and more talked about in Mania season than Sammy. And then Kevin rode that wave, but that was Sammy's wave, right? If we're surfing, that was Sammy's wave that Kevin rode with, right?
Yeah.
And I would say at the end of it all, then to have Judgment Day go over, we're supposed to believe that? I mean, Finn Balor went Spider-Man on the side of the Hell in a Cell and couldn't beat Edge. And then, I mean, name one big match that Finn Balor's gone over in since he's been in Judgment Day? He's just been buried.
He's the only one, yeah. He's not. I
wouldn't
bogus. Say buried.
It's unfair. Not buried because he's still relevant in the card, but you gotta win.
He now fits in the world that Bray Wyatt fit in.
Yeah,
he's the big star he's the jobber to the big stars. He's big enough to win, to be in these big situations, but you can't win those big matches.
That is so spot on. I'm with you.
That is a great show.
And I think it's unfair to Finn because he has to go out there every week and perform and act like he's a threat, but we haven't had it proved to us.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Far too long.
I agree with the vast majority of what you said there, Clark, apart from pushing Damian Priest in the main event picture, because he's nearly 41 years old, and you know my thoughts with WWE right now. The people they need to be building up are the people under the age of 33. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Yes, me and my ageism, but it's what they need to do. It's what they need to do. But also talking about that, I was today years old when I found out Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio are actually the same age. But anyway, that's crazy. But anyway, guys, that basically brings us to the end of this show. If you're over on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe and a cheeky comment as well. And if you're over on Spotify, please 5-star and give us a follow on that, as these things really do help us, guys. We're here every single day, and we'll be here again tomorrow, an hour earlier tomorrow. We'll be going at 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern, and 12 p.m. Pacific. But yeah, that basically brings us to the end of the show, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day, evening.